Welcome to the Hazard Communication Training Right to Understand. What is hazard communication? Chemical pose a wide range of health and physical hazards to our workers. OSHA's Hazard Communication Standard, HCS, is designed to get information about these hazards and associated protective measures to the end users. Chemical manufacturers and importers are required to evaluate the hazards of their chemicals, and to provide information about them through labels and safety data sheets, SDS. Each department manager is responsible for the implementation and maintenance of this hazard communication program. The Director of Health and Safety must be notified immediately anytime there is an incident or citation involving any hazardous material or an environmental hazard. This includes citations from the EPA or any other local and state organizations. Please be sure to ask questions if you have any throughout the course. GHS system. The Global Harmonized System is the standard that defines what information manufacturer must provide to the consumer on the chemical. Identification. Hazards identification. Composition/information on ingredients. First aid measures. Firefighting measures. Accidental release measures. Handling and storage. Exposure control/personal protection. Right to understand. All employees have the right to understand the meaning of each required sections of the safety data sheet. This includes proper handling and application, first aid and exposure limits. Managers and supervisors must review any SDS at any given time when deviations of usage or handling is noted, or when a new chemical is introduced to the job site. Therefore, all chemicals must be approved by TCA before purchase or use. Employees can request a review of any SDS topics with supervisors at any given time. Remember, stop work if you do not understand or not know how to properly use or handle a chemical. Our program. There are 4 things that OSHA requires of the company HAZCOM program. Identify operations in work areas where hazardous chemicals are present. Inform workers about what chemicals are present in the work area/site. Make available safety data sheets, SDS, for each hazardous chemical used in the workplace. Train workers regarding the hazardous nature of chemicals found in individual work environments. Chemical management is addressed under Other Hazards Training course. TKE employee must ensure that any containers in the work area have labels that are legible, written in English. If employees speak another language, they can add the information in their language so long as the information is also present in English. Inventory list of hazardous materials. TKE has prepared a list of all hazardous chemicals found in your work area. The list can be found in each copy of the TKE Hazard Communication Program or SDS book. The inventory listing must be reviewed and verified quarterly. This is to ensure the list remains current. If an item is added, make certain the SDS is added as well. If you need more detailed information on an individual chemical, you can find it on the Safety Data Sheet, SDS. The Safety Data Sheet, SDS, is a detailed information document prepared by the manufacturer or importer of the chemical describing the physical and chemical properties, physical and health hazards, routes of exposure, precautions for safe handling and use, emergency first aid procedures, and control measures. Superintendents/managers can find SDS sheets and SDS information on the lobby. Search Fast and I'll/Spray on Chemical Program. For other chemical information can be obtained at www.sprayon.com. When new and significant information becomes available concerning a product's hazards or ways to protect against the hazards, chemical manufacturers, importers, or distributors shall add it to their SDS within 3 months and provide it to their customers with the next shipment of the chemical. TKE shall maintain copies of the SDS for each hazardous chemical used in the workplace. Department managers have to ensure all hazardous chemicals are properly labeled and updated as needed. Employees are required to read the information and follow the manufacturer's recommendations. If you transfer chemicals from a labeled container to an unlabeled secondary container, the secondary container must be labeled with the chemical name and its associated hazards. You can find labels for secondary containers in Appendix O of the Safety Manual. Remember to understand the risk associated with the product. Use the product per manufacturer recommendations. Wear your PPE as recommended by the manufacturer or instructed by TKE. Mandatory training. Special training sessions will be conducted in the following cases: hazardous non-routine tasks, initial assignment to a work area with hazardous chemicals present. Whenever a new hazard is introduced into the work area. Supervisors are trained to answer employees' questions regarding chemical hazards. They will also monitor safe work practices daily. The department manager will review training programs and advise the supervisors on training needs. Trainers will get feedback from employees on the training they have received in order to improve future training. Notification. Outside contractors will be notified of chemical hazards by the department manager. This notice will include the labeling system in use, protective measures to be taken, safe handling procedures, SDS availability and location. Outside contractors will provide the department manager with the information listed above for all chemicals that they bring on site. All vendors shall leave an SDS on site when offering hazardous substances for trial use, or when leaving any new product. Written hazard communication plan. The standard requires industry to develop and implement a written hazard communication program, Section 16 of the Safety Manual. To provide hazard communication training for employees annually. Initially, to newly hired personnel, or whenever a new hazard is introduced into the workplace. Special hazards. Management of process spills or leaks. Implement the facility's emergency control program. Identify the location of spill kits, secondary containment or audible alarms. Secure the area. Contact your manager if the spill exceeds 1 gallon of chemical and/or spill needs professional cleanup. Contractor requirements. Contractors must abide by the applicable provisions of federal, state and local hazard communication and right-to-know laws/regulations. Any contractor found not meeting the provisions of the laws or contractor requirements may be required to cease work until compliance is achieved. TKE will review and provide the contractor SDSs for any hazardous chemicals. The contractor will receive a copy of TKE's hazard communication program. The contractor will certify that it has met the provisions of applicable laws. The contractor will be notified of where chemicals will be used or stored. Any contractor bringing chemicals on site must provide TKE with SDSs. Tips. Find good source for relevant/compliant SDSs. Ensure accurate inventory of products and find corresponding new SDS. Current classifications, labels, and packaging need to be noted for comparison. Ensure new SDSs are in place and accessible. Ensure all containers properly labeled including secondary containers. Ensure all concerned are appropriately trained. Resources. An easy web search with your favorite search engine will turn up almost any SDS. Contact Krylon Industrial or Spray-On to get copies of SDS. If you cannot find the SDS for a product, contact your branch or safety managers before using the product.